Peter Finnan here for Irish Golfer, and we are down at Concept Golf again, and we are looking at Callaway Paradym for 2023. All things Callaway Paradym, brand new story, as Paradym the name gives out. Yeah, we're looking at what's new with these heads, literally a bit of a deep dive into what we can expect for this season ahead. So here with Mark O'Mahony at Concept Golf. Mark, what do you think? First impressions of the Callaway Paradym?
Yeah, I think the tech story, Pete, is quite interesting as products start kind of filtering out onto the market, telling different stories and whatnot. There's some interesting tech behind what Callaway are offering with Paradym. Obviously, they've got the AI technology face that's now evolved into another generation. So it's quite interesting then with the forged carbon process that they have as well, and then the weighting story that they bring with that also.
Right. They're three total different areas in this club head. So first of all, I suppose looks and feel of, and then we'll get into the tech element of looks and feel. It does look premium quality. Looking down on this, from the top looking down, it's awe-inspiring, isn't it? It frames it really well. Yeah,
that kind of colour trend that they have going on against the kind of titanium face is quite kind of appealing, but it's also very differential when you frame that club behind the ball. Again, for me, initially picking up the club, I was attracted straight away to the forged carbon story and how they've kind of gotten into that. We all know with carbon fibre is usually woven, whereas with this forged approach, it can be done in two ways. You can either kind of piece it together through paste, and that kind of seems to be what they've done to give this kind of different fleck finish, if you will. But ultimately what it does is it gives actually a lot more kind of strength, 10 times more than any other kind of approach in the process of making this. And it's a lot lighter as well. So very interested in that story, as well as the other two, but that really captured my attention.
So what does this do for the consumer then? Like, this is obviously going to have a massive effect on sound, feel, forgiveness, the big areas. What does this allow Callaway? What has this allowed Callaway to do?
Like, again, within what they advocate of the percentage of misses and the gain of kind of more and closer dispersion shots off the tee, is ultimately alluding to the AI face technology, number one. But again, it's having that kind of lighter body where they can position the weight in a much better place so that the golfer can exert a little bit more energy, be it off-centered and off-centered hits. So it's kind of best of both worlds. And I think what the consumer will mainly get from this in heightened performance is ultimately just straighter flight. How
have they come about? Obviously the top and the bottom, we're saying they're both carbon, two totally different looks and feels to the crown and the sole of this club. What have they done with the base? They're saying it's like a triaxial carbon on the top, which is really strong, and then they have a forged carbon composite on the sole. What are the differences there, and how does that?
Yeah, that's exactly kind of the crown is that woven kind of process that you'd go through with most kind of carbon fibre approaches within kind of golf. And this is the groundbreaking thing, is the underside. So when they say triaxial, it's the mold that they've initially created to put this forged carbon into.
It's like melting it and putting it together.
100%. No different to any other kind of forging process that you go through with metal. So that's where, for me, the undersole is the strongest part, in a sense of deflecting or being able to maintain that deflection of energy and speed off the face. So that's, to me, the strongest part right now.
Using, obviously, then going from titanium and metals in the body of this, being able to use a full carbon body and then strip weight front and back, that's obviously opened up other areas of this club that they've weight saved in the middle, put it back, put it forward. How have they brought this full package together then? We spoke about the face, so let's look at the face, the front end of this.
Yeah, so like, again, AI, obviously artificial intelligence, they're using, we can say, a supercomputer, so to speak. They're into kind of, what, generation five, ultimately. So they've a lot of kind of information backing up with what they're bringing to the table now. And I just think they're really, really learning all the time. And that's obviously the idea of AI, It's a continual kind of learning machine. So when they bring this out, they're able to position the energy or the deflection of the face in certain places, and then that jailbreak technology, which is the support mechanism to help that. So the deflection is in the right place, and there's nothing too kind of unstable about the reaction. So that AI for me is very different to what any other manufacturer is approaching in face technology.
And that's it. If we open up this face and we look behind it, so it's very hard to explain AI technology to a consumer like me, to like someone looking to buy a club, because we see a smooth face on every driver. You know, you have your standard bulge and roll gear effect thing that you'll see if you look down at it, but in behind this face there's ripples in different areas set up to perform on different strikes. So what does that do for the face of this driver? Like, it really opens up another level of forgiveness on the face of this on off-centre strikes.
Well, it does, because Callaway have been able to put it in certain locations for the tree heads that are available. So as you're kind of conveying and talking to your player through, be it a fitting, the strike location is going to ultimately allow you delve into that AI storyline. Maybe not getting massively in depth, like the way you conveyed it is actually a nice way with the ripple effect, but also again from bringing back in that AI evolution, that they're backing it up with the information that they've gathered over the years.
They've evolved in the back of this face as well. So jailbreak technology has been around now for the last 4 or 5 years. They have introduced AI to that. So jailbreak, when it initially was 2 bars, like really centrally, then it got a little bit more centrally and more of a frame around the sort of sweet spot in the middle. Now it's like it's more like a wishbone type jailbreak. So they've really, again, there's some weight savings in that. Again, weight saving at the front. There's a full storyline of saving weight, making it better, using AI to actually help them go down the right path and go deeper down this. And it's a pretty good package they've come on.
I agree, and as I said, like, to second that face technology and how they've been able to design and construct it, I think, in my opinion, their kind of winner here is the sole plate. That triple axle kind of sole has given them the strength 10 times more, as I said earlier, than any other kind of material. So they're able to ultimately now move that energy any which way they want, because they found the process in that sole plate that's really, really good. Again, as you get into the weight positioning, then that would then get into the discussion of what the tree heads are offering for that weight placement, if you will, and then the movements of those kind of weights also.
Right, jumping straight into the 3 heads that we have for Paradym. We've the Paradym X, and the Triple Diamond. So, Mark, Triple Diamond, X, and Paradym.
Yep.
Let's delve into which suits which player, who suits what. Like, there's 3 totally different designs here.
Very much so. I think the Triple Diamond for me, the 450cc head, a little bit more refined into like that teardrop profile. I think more than ever, Callaway have brought a Triple Diamond head out, so to speak, that is very different to what's been in the past. Callaway have been renowned for like that slightly deeper face, kind of bit more rounded crown and underbody. This is vastly different. Vastly different in a sense. I think that Callaway player who plays kind of prior Triple Diamonds or prior Callaway product will see something very different to the eye. It does frame the ball very differently. There's no kind of top line markings on the club.
On it.
And that kind of threw me a little, I have to say. But the minute you get into the product, it kind of responds really, really well. As I said, with the 450cc head, the idea of this product is to give a neutral ball flight, but to also give a little bit of workability as well. And I think the profile offers that. So when you add a little bit more curve and shape, you will get that kind of workability.
It's a players' club, though.
All day.
This is. I know we hate bracketing people around handicap, swing speed, and stuff like that, but this is a ballers' golf club.
Yeah, like if I get someone in and if I'm looking for slightly lower spin, if I'm looking
for
stability, you could kind of tap into it for spin, but then you're relinquishing and potentially getting into losing the strike with your player. Obviously, depending on their ability, but if they're kind of not in category 1. And deliver the club in a neutral way or a consistent way, it's really for kind of that better player for sure.
One thing I have seen though, and this is where it will, where it's a better players golf club, it will appeal to some mid-range handicap players because they have done so much with the weighting system on this, freed up a lot of, so they've really from old, like if someone was using an old triple diamond product from previous generation, be it Epic, Rogue, ST, anything like that, this is a lot more forgiving. The MOI is a lot higher, so you will get a little bit more out of it.
That's a fair point, because obviously with the AI storyline evolving into what it is now, with that underbody being a lot stronger, definitely it will be more forgiving. The player would obviously just need to be quite consistent in their delivery and in their strike point, strike location. The weighting system, obviously 14 grams behind the face, is always going to offer more energy anyway. And that's the little trade-off. When you've got a lot more weight behind the club face, you'll generate energy, but at the detriment of losing a little bit of stability. And that, as much as you lose stability, someone who delivers the club in a very consistent way will actually gain in workability. So it's not to kind of lose sight of the function of where that weight is positioned and why it's there.
You can flip those weights too as well, which is a pretty, it's really good for you as a fitter.
100%, 14 grams in the front, 2 grams in the back. Sometimes Callaway offer a little bit better weighting systems as well, in a sense of weight options. So that might come down the road as well, just to help with swing weighting for different shaft lengths and so on and so forth.
Right, that's triple diamond. Then into the Paradym itself. This will probably be the most gamed driver across. You've obviously got your fade draw bias track on the back of this, which you don't have on the others. Talk to me a little bit about this performance-wise.
Yeah, I think where they've kind of got their stability from is towards shifting the weight into the back of the club. Naturally speaking, the further you push the weight on that neutral axis from the face to the back edge of the club, you'll generate more and higher MOI, more stability. But where Callaway are kind of really gaining that kind of speed is naturally in the lighter body and that AI face technology. So for me, this is going to be the kind of the main kind of product that I think will be on the market.
75% of all Paradym sold are probably going to be this.
100%. And I think the rail system will be a very simple tool in working that kind of, be it draw, fade, or just in general stability of the club face, because that does change the orientation of the CG, which is going to change the face position to help the player just hit straighter shots.
It is. Off the face, I know from hitting all three of these heads as well, off the face, this one just jumped at me. This really just, it rocketed. Like, I could really feel the face on it. I could feel the club. It's I can see why they're calling it a Paradym performance, but it really is good.
And I think that's testament to the lighter body, because you're feeling that energy off the face. That's the beauty about it, and that's where for me they've really got an unbelievable kind of storyline in a sense of energy and speed. And again, you're getting that feel with the weight all the way back in the club. Like, that's a pretty cool feat, you know, whereas most manufacturers, to get that energy, are pushing it behind the club face.
Right, moving into the X then, the final of the three club heads. Where does this fit in the spectrum player-wise?
Ultimately, it'll sit in a place for someone who's looking for a bit more forgiveness again, because the crown or the head is a little elongated, and the lie angle is a little bit more upright, so it's more draw biased. It's there for that player who's probably just looking for that little bit more accuracy. The energy is still going to be in the face itself, naturally speaking. So I think it's just for that player who's looking for a little bit more confidence in overall kind of dispersion. But ultimately, I'd say a little bit more confidence as they frame the club behind the ball, because it has that upright lie. It's just going to inspire them to kind of be able to potentially hit that kind of straighter shot. Other than that, the optics is going to be a bit more of a personal choice. Would an individual, through the course of a fitting, come in for Paradym and leave a Paradym X? Potentially, because they just might be attracted to that, or the numbers might just suggest different.
Right, so summing up in Callaway Paradym, Callaway are calling it a new Paradym in performance. Has it delivered a new Paradym performance? I would say yes. What do you think, Mark, on this, on the performance side of this club?
Yeah, 100%. I think in the generation we're in, with kind of speed and weight distribution, it is offering a whole different kind of outlet of performance to the golfer. There's no question about it. And as I said, they've already delved into something in that forged carbon process. So that's going to be intriguing. Kind of early fits with players is the feel that they get off the face, what you alluded to. And it's, I think it's really going to come into all conversations for driver fits this year.
And that's one thing that I'm really keen to get across in this. Like, I gamed Rogue ST last year for, 3-4 months of the year, and I found it probably one of the most stable drivers I've ever gamed. It was so easy just to pick out a bag and with no practice, hit it pretty much anywhere in the face and get away with murder. But this has taken it to a whole new level. Now, Callaway have made bold claims about 15% downrange dispersion and stuff like that. They're kind of untried and untested from our side. They're very hard to quantify, these sort of marketing claims. But one thing I will say, pulling Paradym out and comparing it to Rogue ST from last year, I definitely found, for me, just off the shelf, like for like, Paradym definitely delivered that little bit more for me. It felt more forgiving off the face, and I did feel my dispersion was tightened in. It's not necessarily a ball speed story because Rogue ST was so fast already, but it feels more stable. In a weird way, for me, it felt softer and nicer, just a more refined product. So I'm definitely feeling that, but is that something that you're seeing across the board with fits as well?
Yeah, and I think you captured it well in your feedback and explanation, because we're all different in how we convey that. And you've got the ST model to kind of refer to that. So everyone is going to kind of feel and explain it slightly differently. And that's where true fitting, it's going to be a kind of nice experience for the player, because through working with the three heads, you'll see what will work best for you, and then the setups as well. So the setups in kind of what shaft options they have, what loft options they have kind of just widened a little bit. Obviously, with the triple diamond head, they've got an 8-degree loft, which they've never really entered into in the past.
Tour only.
Exactly. So there's a lot of function there, and then they still have their normal sleeve that you can adjustable sleeve. So there's still a lot of kind of workings within setting the product up for the golfer to ultimately maximize their performance.
Key takeaways then on Paradym. Obviously 3 different heads, like we've alluded to, 3 totally different performance attributes, but like you getting a consumer in here, this is an exciting product to show to someone.
Oh, most definitely. And like the biggest thing for me is to invite them to the 3 heads, allow the consumer, even the triple diamond, let them see it, because they are vastly different. And then from there, that way the ball is kind of cased around or framed around the club head is the initial attraction. And I think that's the very, very different thing that Callaway have done with Paradym. That contrast of the titanium face against the kind of the blue finish is really attractive. And then on the back of that, that's going to, as the player gets into hitting shots, that's going to really give a different acoustic change in sound and strike. What's coming out to the market is that kind of thud sound, not tinny sound anymore, is what players are looking to welcome, and that's what this offers. Naturally speaking, with the tech story that we got into, we'll convey that to the player as well, and we'll back that up with the numbers. So I think it's the initial attraction to the product, as in the look, and then the performance speaks for itself. But that'll be down to the individual and what they feel or what they convey back to you.
If you're traditionally, you play a Callaway product as well, you're going to be drawn to this straight away because the fingerprints are over this for all past generations, but it's a vastly different sound and feel to anything they've experienced before, in a good way. And I think from people like using other, like this is gonna turn heads. If you're gaming a different brand of driver, no matter what it is, I think this is the one product this year that everyone wants to get into their hands and just feel, because Callaway have done a good job, in fairness, marketing wise, of setting the tone for this Paradym. What is it? What does it mean? What is it about? They're saying it's a different story, it's a different route they're taking. I think it's really good. I think it needs to be tried and tested, got into players' hands, but I haven't come across one person that's picked up this yet, including myself, that hasn't said, oh my God, this is a proper golf club.
Yeah, and I'll second that for sure. And I think like your better player is going to be one attracted to try the triple diamond, naturally so. And I think they'll find some interesting kind of findings and feedback with that. Equally, your Callaway player will gravitate initially to the Paradym, the main head itself, and then the X, I think, is just for that category golfer who's just looking for forgiveness and just looking for ease in performance. So the three offerings just cover the mass of the community that we work within, and it's really inviting. You know, there's no question about it, and you will see gained performance with that. And gained performance is not always yardage. It's overall kind of dispersion, performance, reaction, things like that the golfer now needs to look at.
Summing this up, there is no negative points we can find really on Paradym. The only one thing, we're obviously in the middle of a cost of living crisis. It's not Callaway's fault prices are gone through the roof on component and things like that. This driver does punch in at the very top end of the spectrum. You're talking $699 retail. So if you are in the market for a new driver, definitely give it a feel. If money is no object to performance, this is as good as it gets. You really got to get this into your hand, test it, go through the 3 different heads, see, you will not be disappointed. So Callaway Paradym for 2023 really gets a thumbs up from us, both on a performance, looks, feel, style. It really is the full package.